Hi, it's Richard here from the OPA Hub website again with another one in our occasional series of working with the Oracle Policy Automation JavaScript extensions for the interviews and controls. In this chapter, we're looking at styling a control which essentially doesn't have any styling or extension capabilities, the signature block. The signature block hasn't got anything that we can work with in terms of the core, the standard JavaScript. So what we're trying to do is we've added a container here, which is extendable according to the JavaScript extension reference. And we're going to use this control and we're going to piggyback on top of the control to change some of the behavior of the signature. The signature has one setting that is interesting over here, or a couple of settings over here, which include the width, height, and line. The line being that funny dotted line that you can see here. And there is one other feature that we can change using pure styling. If I go and find the styling, we can change pure styling wise. I'll get there in the end. We can use the ink color key to change the color of the ink. So what I've done is I've created a style extension for the signature input, which is available as standard, and popped in a class name for our signature. And then in that class, as an example, we might do some media queries so that we have a beginning effect. That is, the outline is 2 pixels when you have a large screen and 1 pixel when you have a small screen. But beyond that, we're probably going to have to piggyback, as I say, on top of a control that already exists, such as the container. What we might do, so this is a container extension. The container itself, I'll remind you if I come back in here, is in fact empty. The only reason I'm using the container is because it's something that we can get at using the JavaScript extension. And once we're in there, there are a couple of things that are well worth investigating. First of all, we can reference the interview properties, which include the signature width and the height, incidentally. The signature width is that value I showed you in the styles dialog. We can also then work with, for example, standard jQuery stuff like essentially the width of the window. And we could then work to select our signature. I'm using the style that I applied in the style extension. And that allows us to do things such as selecting the line of the signature and hiding it if you don't want to have that funny dotted line that people are supposed to sign on. We could also do things like we could change the width of the signature based on the width of the window. And we could do this at the beginning. So we could do this through the mount key, or we could also do things on unmount, like we could remove it. On the mount, I've also included a resize event hook, so that when the user resizes the window, we will resize the signature. And to ensure that the signature is correctly sized when we first display it, I trigger the resize event as soon as it is mounted, or rather as soon as the container is mounted. And what does that give us, basically? Well, in this signature that is in theory not stylable, first of all, it gives us a responsively sized signature. The class gives us 1 pixel or 2 pixels for the layout. And of course, we can set limits and maximums and minimums and defaults, but that's just an example. We have the color, which was defined in the style extension. And we have the absence of the line here that we talked about before. Of course, I'll just fill these in. When we come back, remember that the signature having been entered, this is no longer the same HTML element. It's no longer a canvas. It's now just an image. So if we re-clear it, that's why we need to then follow up perhaps with some further work to ensure that the line is not displayed when we go through the update process. So obviously I haven't finished the example because, as I just showed you, the line comes back when we update. But if I refresh, or rather if I restart this, the line is gone again. So it's a work in progress, but at least it proves the point that we can actually work a little bit with the signature control or any one of the controls that currently can't be changed, in theory through the JavaScript extensibility by piggybacking on top of an existing control like a container. I hope you enjoyed this, and you'll find the code examples in the OPA Hub shop for educational purposes only, of course. Have a great night.